Shabbat Parak Yud Dalet Mishnah Dalet, fourth Mishnah, the 14th chapter. We're in the middle of talking about Hilchot Refu'ah, of doing medical things. And we talked about the idea that a person who's what's called a mechush be'alma, i.e. he's not sick, but he doesn't feel well, meaning his stomach ache or his tooth hurts. He's not allowed to do shum pu'ula refu. He can't do anything, any halachic any medical or medicinal act on Shabbat, because it's called, the Gemara said, mishum shchikat simamnim, because they were afraid that this would lead to the grinding of medicines, and that was an isur of tochen. And again, I like to repeat that Chazal didn't make these things up. They obviously saw people doing this, and therefore that caused them to make these gzeirot. So says the Mishnah, Choshesh b'shinav, if his tooth is hurting him, lo yigma behem et hachometz, he shouldn't, ligmoa means to swallow, but it really means to gargle he shouldn't gargle the chometz, he shouldn't gargle vinegar. Okay, you can't rinse with them. Aval, but what can he do? Metabelu kedarko. He takes his bread, he dips it in the vinegar, and he puts it in his mouth, and he eats it in the normal way. V'im nitrapeh. And if he gets healthy, he gets healthy. Because we said, remember, you can't do medicinal acts, but he can do normal things, like we said. We mentioned the beauty of Knob Creek yesterday, or in the last Mishnah. If you don't know what Knob Creek is, you can look it up. Similarly, if a person's loins are hurting, lo yasuch yain v'chometz, he shouldn't anoint himself with wine and vinegar. But he can anoint himself with oil, because that's the way they normally anointed themselves. But v'lo shemen vered, but not rose petal oil, because rose petal oil, the Bartenura says, lefi shem dama v'karim, was expensive. U'muchach milta kavid, and it's obvious in muchach milta, this thing is obvious, he's doing it for the purposes of medicine, so he can't use shemen vered. But b'nei melachim, the princes, the royalty, the 1%ers, sachin shemen vered amokatem, they're allowed to anoint themselves with rose oil. Why? Shekain darkam lachsuch b'chol, because they use it. That's what they use during the week. Since they normally anoint themselves with rose oil during the week, therefore it's not in a normal way. Therefore, it's not obvious if they do it on Shabbat that they're doing it for medicinal purposes. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Shimon says, no. Kol Yisrael b'nei melachim. All Jews are b'nei melachim. Everyone is considered Kol Yisrael. All the Jewish people are princes. So therefore, they can do what the princes do, even on Shabbat. The Bartenura says, Ein halacha to Rabbi Shimon. We don't pass on like Rabbi Shimon. Sorry, most Jews can't use rose oil to anoint their wounds on Shabbat. They got to stick with regular oil. We'll stop here. Comments and questions, as always, email me at my email address, rspoter@gmail.com. Here we go, and we'll dedicate our learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a good day. Have a great day.